I should have gotten out of the relationship 25 years ago.
The emails just came out, and they're shocking. Kody Brown has now confirmed what many people suspected. Women are messaging him directly, hoping to join his family. The details show this isn't random, it looks like a well-planned effort. While promoting special forces, Kody revealed something that has everyone in the polygamy community talking. He said several women have reached out to him with what they describe as religious advice. But these aren't just friendly notes. They're calculated messages from people who clearly know how polygamy works. Kody shared one example where a woman told him he should get back in my faith or return to their religion. He acted like this was normal, but it's not. And here's the bigger issue. It's not just one woman. Kody admitted that both he and Robyn have been contacted by multiple women about possibly joining their family. The timing makes it even more suspicious. Christine's new memoir just revealed the family's financial struggles, and Janelle is taking legal action. Then, all of a sudden, women appear with so-called spiritual guidance that conveniently leads the conversation toward becoming part of the family. That doesn't look like chance. It looks like organization. The religious talk is just a cover for what really seems like a recruitment plan. And now, everyone can see it happening.
I got another one of those emails from some woman asking sort of like to get to know us for the purpose of joining the family.
What makes this whole situation creepier is how Kody treats these messages. He forwards them to Robyn like they're entertainment. "Hey, sweetheart. This woman emailed me," he says, laughing about what looks like organized recruitment. He shares them like they're funny memes over breakfast. These women aren't asking about his work or offering general spiritual support. They're focused on his religion and his relationships, and they push exactly where it matters. That's classic recruitment behavior dressed up as concern. Kody even admits the messages feel real enough that he's thought about them despite the complications that come with fame. That's a shocking detail. He's tempted, even while things are messy. The emails themselves are worse. They use spiritual-sounding language to manipulate the exact tactics used in polygamous recruitment. Kody's reaction shows he's still vulnerable to this kind of religious pressure.
I don't want to pursue another woman because I don't want that headache, the questions, the struggles, the wonder about trust. I'm not in that space.
Here's the real story behind these women reaching out to Kody Brown. This has nothing to do with genuine spiritual help or friendly check-ins. These women are turning faith into a manipulation tool to work their way into Kody's emotions and thoughts. The woman Kody mentioned didn't just write a simple thinking of you message. She directly told him he should ask for forgiveness and come back to their religious beliefs. That's not godly counsel. That's mind games disguised as faith talk. She's deliberately pushing buttons to make him feel guilty, nostalgic, and religiously responsible all at once. This tactic works so well because it's sneaky. The woman makes herself look like the spiritually wise one while suggesting Kody has lost his way. It's a textbook control method that pretends to say, "I want to help your soul," but really means, "I'm ready to become part of your household." The faith angle makes it almost impossible for Kody to say no, without appearing to reject God. Kody's reaction shows us everything. He admits feeling like he's already been there, done that with asking forgiveness, proving these messages landed right where intended. Rather than instantly cutting off weird contact from strangers, he's actually thinking about the religious parts and talking them over with Robyn. That's precisely what these women wanted to achieve. This plan is smart because it goes after Kody's very visible faith struggles. Since his family broke up, he's been openly questioning his beliefs. These women are presenting him with a path back to religious acceptance through the family setups he knows. They're not openly promoting polygamy. They're promoting spiritual recovery that coincidentally requires bringing in additional wives. Even worse is how these messages are going to both Kody and Robyn simultaneously. This isn't random contact from individual women taking their chances. Someone is organizing a targeted effort that gets the family situation and realizes that winning Robyn over is absolutely crucial for any new living arrangements. Both of them getting contacted proves there's serious strategic thinking happening that goes way past coincidence. But here's what should really alarm everyone. Robyn's actual reaction to these wife-hunting attempts shows just how powerless she's become. Robyn's response to these recruitment messages tells a devastating story of total helplessness that should make anyone angry. Her quietness isn't agreement, it's surrender. When Kody talks about showing these emails to Robyn, he acts like it's just normal husband and wife conversation. "Hey, sweetheart, this woman emailed me," he says, like he's talking about dinner plans. But what Robyn actually does shows something much more troubling. According to Kody, she just sits there silently listening to these conversations about other women possibly joining their marriage like she's hearing a traffic report. The scariest part is when Kody reveals that Robyn said to him, "I've already lost you to this. I'm not going to stop this from happening." That's not someone who truly likes polygamy talking. That's someone who's been emotionally worn down until she quit fighting wars she knows she'll lose. Consider what Robyn is really saying here. She's admitting that Kody has already mentally and emotionally committed to the idea of new wives. She's seeing that her husband has mentally left their one-on-one marriage before she even had a chance to speak up. What she said isn't giving permission, it's giving up because she's exhausted. This is the same woman who supposedly won the polygamy battles, who kept the husband while everyone else got pushed out. But winning in Kody's world apparently means watching your husband shop for new women while acting like you're okay with it. What a prize that turned out to be. What makes this even more upsetting is how Kody treats Robyn's giving up as support rather than what it really is, proof of an emotionally harmful relationship, where she's learned that fighting back won't work. He's not asking for her approval. He's telling her about options and expecting her to handle her own feelings about it. The timing of these talks is especially mean. Right when Robyn might have thought she'd finally gotten some peace after years of family drama, here comes Kody sharing emails from possible sister wives like he's looking through a shopping magazine. Her forced quiet tells us everything about the real control issues in what's supposed to be their equal marriage. But this recruitment plan isn't random. The women making these moves know exactly what they're doing because of decades of experience in polygamous culture. Any woman who's been around polygamous communities can see what's happening here from far away. This isn't random reaching out. This is an organized recruitment system that uses the exact same methods fundamentalist groups have used for decades. The approach follows a perfect formula. Build religious authority first, then create emotional closeness through shared faith concerns. These women aren't opening with, "Hey, want another wife?" They're starting with, "I'm concerned about your spiritual health," which immediately makes them look caring, religiously mature, and emotionally invested in Kody's well-being. It's brilliant manipulation, dressed up as church help. Here's how experienced watchers know this is coordinated, the sameness of approach across multiple contacts. Kody admits several women have reached out using similar methods, all focusing on his religious situation and family setup. That's not accident. That's a proven strategy being used by people who know exactly how to take advantage of spiritual weakness. The pattern becomes even clearer when you look at the timing and targeting. These approaches got stronger right as Kody became publicly single again. And they're specifically coming from women who live within the plural marriage culture. They're not random fans or casual spiritual helpers. They're women who know the system, get the process, and see a chance when it appears. What makes this particularly clever is how these women are presenting their interest as worry for Kody's spiritual health rather than personal romantic interest. This lets them keep believable denial while testing how open he island. If he stops the conversation, they can say they were just trying to help spiritually. If he keeps talking, they've built the foundation for deeper connection. The fact that they're contacting both Kody and Robyn at the same time shows another level of skill. These aren't beginner moves. Someone gets that successful polygamous recruitment needs, managing the current wife's feelings and getting her cooperation, or at least her silence. They know Robyn's support is essential, so they're working both sides. This recruitment pattern explains why Kody feels comfortable talking about these approaches so casually. In polygamous culture, this kind of spiritual dating is seen as normal and even respectable. But there's one major problem these recruiters didn't think about, and it's creating some serious issues with their plan. The most frightening detail in Kody's whole confession is his casual mention that these women are embedded most likely in the culture of plural marriage. That's not random word choice. That's proof of organized community involvement in recruiting new wives for his family. Let's understand what embedded in the culture really means. These aren't women who watched Sister Wives and got interested in polygamy. These are women who already live within fundamentalist communities, who know the rules and power structures, and who understand exactly how plural marriage systems work. They're not outsiders looking in. They're insiders, making planned moves. The coordination becomes even more obvious when you think about how these approaches are happening at the same time, through multiple ways. Kody admits both. He and Robyn are being contacted by different women using similar spiritual methods. That level of synchronized outreach doesn't happen naturally. Someone is organizing this campaign, and they have strong connections within polygamous networks. Here's what experienced observers see. This looks like community elders or spiritual leaders pointing available women toward Kody as a possible placement. In fundamentalist circles, marriages aren't usually individual choices. They're community decisions made by religious authorities who control family arrangements. The fact that multiple women are suddenly reaching out suggests someone with power is encouraging these connections. The religious angle makes perfect sense in this situation. Spiritual leaders often use concern for someone's spiritual welfare as reason for arranging marriages that serve community interests. By presenting these approaches as religious guidance rather than romantic pursuit, they keep the appearance of spiritual authority while actually helping relationship negotiations. What makes this particularly worrying is how these community networks work. Women in fundamentalist polygamous cultures often have limited control over their marriage choices. If community leaders are directing women toward Kody, those women might be facing pressure to pursue connections they wouldn't necessarily pick on their own. That brings up serious questions about consent and force. The timing also suggests these communities are specifically targeting Kody during his weak period. His public spiritual crisis and family breakdown make him an attractive possibility for communities looking to reclaim a high-profile member. They're not just recruiting wives for Kody, they're trying to recruit Kody back into their area of control. But there's another part to this recruitment strategy that shows just how calculated these approaches really are, and it involves changing recent history in ways that should scare anyone who cares about responsibility. Kody's most manipulative move in this whole revelation is how he's reframing the polygamous years as shared suffering that he and Robyn went through together. This isn't just changing history, it's emotional manipulation designed to justify thinking about new wives while erasing the real victims of his choices. Listen carefully to how he describes their past. Robyn and I kind of look at it as like, well, we suffered at the end of this experience. It'd be painful to think about it again. Notice what's missing from this story. Any admission that Christine, Janelle, and Mary were the ones who actually suffered while Robyn got prioritized, protected, and spoiled throughout the entire polygamous arrangement. This "we suffered together" framing serves multiple purposes, and none of them are honest. First, it positions Kody and Robyn as trauma-bonded partners who survived hardship as a team. Second, it suggests that polygamy caused them pain, rather than admitting that their favoritism and manipulation caused everyone else pain. Third, it creates a foundation for discussing new wives as something they might overcome together, rather than something that would basically threaten Robyn's security. The timing of this story change is particularly calculated. Just as Christine's memoir exposes the financial chaos and emotional abuse of the polygamous years, Kody is spinning a counterstory where he and Robyn were fellow victims rather than the architects of everyone else's misery. It's classic manipulation. Rewrite the story so you're the hurt party rather than the person who caused the hurt. What makes this even more sneaky is how it prepares Robyn to accept new wives as something that could heal their shared trauma rather than recreate it. If they suffered through polygamy before, maybe they could handle it better this time with their stronger bond and better understanding. It's a setup for emotional blackmail disguised as relationship growth. The truth is that Robyn didn't suffer during the polygamous years. She flourished while everyone else struggled. She got the new house, the wedding dress, shopping trips, the honeymoon attention, and most of Kody's time and emotional energy. Her suffering came only when the other wives finally had enough and left, forcing her to become Kody's only focus instead of his favorite. But this suffering story isn't just about manipulating Robyn's emotions. It's also about protecting Kody from the financial consequences of his past choices. And that's where things get really interesting from a practical standpoint. The money trail behind these recruitment attempts shows calculations that would make any financial advisor panic. New wives aren't just emotional complications for Kody and Robyn, they're potential financial disasters that could destroy what little stability they've managed to rebuild. Let's start with the obvious. Kody is already financially stretched thin, supporting his existing children across multiple households. Child support obligations don't go away just because relationships end. Adding new wives with potential new children would multiply those obligations exponentially. The man who couldn't afford to keep Coyote Pass is somehow thinking about arrangements that would need even more resources. But here's where it gets really interesting. From a legal standpoint, any new spiritual wives would have zero legal protections or financial guarantees. Unlike his legal marriage to Robyn, spiritual marriages offer no divorce settlements, no spousal support rights, and no claim to shared assets. That means new wives would be completely dependent on Kody's continued goodwill and financial success, with no legal options if things go wrong. The TLC contract situation adds another layer of complexity. Sister Wives has been renewed for season 20. But how long can a show about failed polygamy keep viewers interested? New Wives might temporarily boost ratings, but they'd also demand payment for appearing on camera. Suddenly, Kody's income would need to support more people while potentially becoming less reliable as the show's novelty wears off. From Robyn's perspective, new wives represent a direct threat to her financial security. She's the legal wife, which means she has claim to half of any marital assets accumulated since their wedding. But if Kody starts redirecting resources toward new spiritual wives and their children, her actual access to those assets becomes meaningless. Legal rights don't help if there's nothing left to claim. The community recruitment angle makes the financial picture even murkier. If fundamentalist leaders are encouraging these approaches, they might expect Kody to provide financial support not just to new wives, but to their extended families and communities. That's how polygamous economics often work. Successful men become financial resources for entire religious networks. Here's the calculation that should terrify Robyn. New wives would likely expect the same level of financial support that she received during the polygamous years. New houses, new cars, new everything. But unlike the Sister Wives era, when TLC money was flowing, current resources are limited. Something would have to give, and historically, it's never been Kody's comfort that gets sacrificed. But the financial implications pale in comparison to the legal vulnerabilities these recruitment attempts could create. And that's where things get truly dangerous for everyone involved. The legal consequences of these recruitment attempts could blow up everything Kody and Robyn have rebuilt, and they're walking straight into a danger zone without even realizing the risks they're facing. Let's start with the custody implications. Kody is still fighting for access to his children with Janelle, and any evidence of him actively pursuing new polygamous relationships could severely damage his case. Family courts don't look favorably on parents who prioritize acquiring new partners over maintaining relationships with existing children. These recruitment discussions could be used as evidence that Kody's focus is on expanding his family rather than repairing the damage he's already caused. The polygamy angle creates even bigger legal problems. While polygamy isn't actively prosecuted in most jurisdictions anymore, it's still technically illegal. Kody's public discussions about considering new spiritual wives could be interpreted as intent to commit bigamy. That's not just a personal legal risk, it's a potential problem for TLC, which has built an entire franchise around a family structure that technically violates federal law. Here's where things get really dangerous. If these recruitment attempts involve women from fundamentalist communities, there could be interstate commerce issues if any financial arrangements cross state lines. Moving women across state boundaries for marriage arrangements, even spiritual ones, can trigger federal jurisdiction under trafficking statutes. Kody might think he's just considering personal relationships, but prosecutors could view organized recruitment very differently. The documentation trail is already problematic. Kody has publicly admitted to receiving multiple communications from women about joining his family. He's described sharing these communications with Robyn and discussing them as realistic possibilities. If law enforcement ever decides to investigate polygamous recruitment networks, these statements could be used as evidence of conspiracy to commit bigamy. From Robyn's legal perspective, the vulnerabilities are just as serious. If she's actively participating in discussions about bringing new wives into their family, she could be viewed as an accessory to any illegal polygamous arrangements. Her legal marriage to Kody wouldn't protect her from criminal liability if prosecutors decide to pursue charges. The civil implications are equally concerning. If new wives join the family and later experience abuse or exploitation, they could file lawsuits against both Kody and Robyn for damages. The public record of these recruitment discussions would make it harder to claim ignorance about the risks involved in polygamous arrangements. But the most immediate legal threat isn't criminal prosecution. It's what these recruitment attempts signal about Kody's current mental state and decision-making capacity. And that should have everyone who cares about his children's welfare extremely concerned. Here's what everyone needs to understand about Kody's casual discussion of new wives. This isn't just idle speculation or harmless curiosity. This is a man in crisis making increasingly desperate decisions that could destroy the last stable relationships in his orbit. The most alarming aspect isn't even the recruitment attempts themselves, it's Kody's complete inability to recognize how devastating these discussions are to Robyn's sense of security. He's treating her forced acceptance as marital harmony when it's actually evidence of emotional breakdown. A woman who says, "I've already lost you to this," isn't giving permission, she's expressing defeat. The timing reveals everything about Kody's motivations. Just as Christine's memoir exposes his failures as a husband and father, just as public opinion turns decisively against him, suddenly he's open to discussing new wives who might offer fresh validation and admiration. This isn't about spiritual calling or religious restoration. This is about ego repair at everyone else's expense. The community involvement makes this situation exponentially more dangerous. If fundamentalist leaders are actively recruiting women for Kody's family, they're not doing it out of concern for his spiritual welfare. They're doing it because they want access to his platform, his resources, and his public influence. Kody would become a tool for promoting polygamous culture to mainstream audiences, and any new wives would become unwilling participants in that agenda. For Robyn, the threat assessment is crystal clear. She's married to a man who publicly discusses replacing her while expecting her to smile and support his choices. She's raising children in a household where their father treats family relationships as interchangeable entertainment options. She's financially dependent on someone who demonstrates zero loyalty when better opportunities arise. The children caught in this chaos face the worst risks of all. They're watching their father prioritize hypothetical relationships over existing family bonds. They're learning that love is conditional and security is temporary. They're being raised by parents who model dysfunction as normal family dynamics. What makes this entire situation most terrifying is Kody's apparent belief that fame gives him unlimited options without consequences. He's discussing recruitment attempts like they're business opportunities, rather than life-altering decisions that would impact everyone in his orbit. The man who destroyed 4 marriages is somehow confident he could manage new ones better this time. The sister wives community isn't buying Kody's redemption narrative, and these recruitment revelations prove why. A man who casually discusses acquiring new wives while his current wife sits in silence isn't someone who's learned from past mistakes. He's someone who's planning to repeat them with different players. So here we stand, watching Kody Brown treat human relationships like a reality show casting call while expecting everyone to applaud his spiritual journey. The National Sisterhood sees exactly what's happening here, and something tells me the next round of consequences will be even more devastating than the last. Do you think these recruitment attempts will push Robyn to finally take control of her own narrative? Which legal vulnerability has you most concerned for the children still caught in Kody's orbit? Tap like, hit subscribe, keep notifications on, and let me know your thoughts. A fresh video is already queued up, and something tells me the next round of Brown family revelations will be even juicier than the last.